Thank you for being here, everyone. I'll make this short and sweet as Cassidy already explained. Our construction has started, and I did note Kyle, they're over there this afternoon. We were wondering this morning where they were, so they're over there this afternoon, so we're keeping an eye on that. I just want to come up, and John needs no introduction. Of course, we all know John and the wonderful work he's done throughout the community. But I don't know if you know that John is retiring. So I personally want to thank John for all of his work, not only at the city of Soldotna, but I know he and the community itself and everything that he's done for all of us. So thank you, John. And John has put his heart and soul in this project. And thank you for, we're going to keep it going, John, and think of you every time we work on this. I do think about something you said this morning, moving from conversation to doing, and I believe that's where we are with this project. Stephanie is here somewhere, and oh, Stephanie is also very involved in this, and so it started the conversation with the council, the city, and we're going from that conversation to imprint. Our plan is adopted by council to doing. So, John.
Okay. It is here. Well, thank you. For those who don't know me, I'm John Czarnezki. I'm the Director of Planning and Economic Development for the City of Soldotna. I like to think of the job as being more than economic development, but also community development. And that's been a theme at this presentation today when we talk about things like childcare and transportation, all the parts and pieces of our community that make things work. So I want to start by first warning and apologizing to any of the economic developers or economists here that I don't have any histograms or bar charts. So I won't be offended if you do get up and leave. But this is the story then of the Riverfront redevelopment project. And let's see if I can get that to work. It is working. This effort has been about 2 years in the making. It involved many people and organizations, including KPED. We had assistance from KPED in the initiation of the grant process. We had assistance from them in getting this into the SEDS, the Economic Development Strategy. And then we worked with many other organizations to get support and get assistance to get this project up and running. With KPED's assistance, we were able to apply for and receive an EDA grant. That grant allowed us to develop a very intensive planning process that involved the hiring of a consultant called First 40 Feet, who led this intensive process to bring forward public engagement process, conceptual designs, market analysis, feasibility analysis, and more. And so that piece of it was critical. And so I want to thank KPED and I want to thank EDA for their assistance in making this possible. Our purpose is to redevelop our downtown to achieve a healthy, vibrant community and economy. We want to get from what you see on the very top slide or top part of the slide to our future vision. And that top slide, that pink outline, is the project area. It basically runs from the bridge over the Kenai all the way to the Y. So it's about 5 acres in total. Our goals. Our main goal is to try to create a downtown that we don't have. And the Kenai River is going to be central to that. As you all know, the city of Soldotna grew up in the 50s and 60s, auto-centric world where strip development was a pattern that was most common. To get anywhere, you need to hop in your car. We wanted to create or one of our goals was to create a walkable experience. We wanted to create an opportunity to have that river front and center to our community. We wanted to identify and optimize the use of available lands and infrastructure. In other words, taking stock of what we have now and then identifying how we best use it. As an example, we've got a number of parcels of land that stretch all the way from the highway to the river. Only one part of the parcel is developed, and that's the part that is up front on the Sterling Highway. So there's this opportunity to add infrastructure on the backside to create a whole other layer of development adjacent to the river. The fourth goal is to continue to build and grow our year-round economy. One more day in Soldotna, as the mantra goes. We are very successful here in Alaska with 3 months of activity, and our employers and our businesses are some of them are used to making that work. But where our goal is to create a year-round economy, so that those folks have their doors open 12 months a year. The next goal was to identify opportunities and strategies for coordinating with landowners, create opportunities for public partnerships, and identifying different ways to implement our steps here to get the plan moving forward. We're looking for win-wins, in other words, and we'll try to identify all the opportunities that we can. The very last one, the last goal is provide housing. I'm having a hard time reading that. Options to meet our needs. So a healthy, vibrant downtown needs people. It needs to be an activity center. Successful downtowns today are mixing their commercial and they're mixing that with residential. It provides residents an opportunity to access the different shops and amenities that are downtown. It's a convenient location for them. And it also can provide workforce housing for the businesses that are located downtown. There we go. This slide just basically shows, I think I would call it it's called frameworks, and I guess that's appropriate in that this is the layers within our community that we need to look at, plan for anything to be successful. The land use, ability or roads, the utility systems, and then finally the regulatory environment that we live in. And so we considered each of these as part of this planning process. We looked at what is the appropriate mix of land uses for this 85 acres. What does the transportation system have to look like to serve those businesses and those residences that we want to have in that area? What are the utilities that are going to be necessary? And then finally, to get where we want to go, we need to modify our regulatory environment. If we don't, we're going to end up with the same thing that we have today, which is a car-orientated commercial strip development. What am I aiming at? Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay. There we go. Thank you. Big ideas. So these are our strategies for success. They're designed to bring our vision to life, to support our goals. We considered several big ideas to make this happen and to ensure success. And what I'll do, I think, here is we'll look at each one of these individually, but this is the list of the big goals that are part of, or the big ideas that are part of the plan. So the first one is bookend public gathering places. Yeah, please. Thank you. Okay. So, um, as you know, Soldotna currently has one incredible public gathering place, that being Soldotna Creek Park. What this plan calls for is a second gathering place on the other side of the planning area. In other words, adjacent to the river and next to the bridge. And the concept here is to create a public space for the gathering of people, for an opportunity to view the river, for an opportunity for businesses to be located nearby. And this is a depiction of what that might look like. You can see the Kenai River off to the left, the bridge off to the left, and in the foreground is the plaza itself. You've got a number of businesses, mixed use surrounding it. So um, this concept was one of the first big ideas that we considered. The next one, if you would, is mixed use development. The previous slide, as I mentioned, um, has the potential for mixed use. This is probably a slide that shows mixed use in a more intensive way. Um, Mixed use, generally speaking, turns traditional zoning on its head, where we try to segregate land uses. Mixed use takes compatible land uses like residential, commercial, and park uses and puts them together. Um, and that's what we're trying to accomplish here. Um, New mixed uses can also benefit existing uses, like the Blasey Mall and Aspen Assisted Living that's shown in this diagram, by providing different amenities for those uses, by providing housing and providing connections. Next, please. Oh, no, yeah, thank you. Good. Yep. Oh, there you go. Thanks. The next big idea is new and enhanced streets. Um, so the idea of new streets is going to create and allow this idea of a walkable environment. Um, it's going to provide the views of the river. It's going to enable us to access the businesses and the parks within the downtown. We don't have to work with what we have currently. We can build new. We can expand, and that's what this plan calls for. Is essentially a new street, one off from the highway, that provides access to lands that are either underdeveloped or not developed at all. They're currently vacant and in close proximity to the river. So that's what we're after with the new and enhanced streets, to open up some lands, to provide connections, and to get people close to the river. Next, please. This is a view of what one of those new streets might look like. You can see the river off to the left, the steep bank. And in this example, this is River Street. You see a development, in this case, on both sides of a new road. Road itself is 60 feet in width. That's the right-of-way width, I should say. And we really pack a lot into that 60 feet. What we tried to do here is provide a 14-foot wide trail adjacent to the river, or on the river side of the road, buffered by a 4-foot landscape bed, and then two 11-foot traffic lanes, which are narrower than usual, an 8-foot parking lane, which is also unusual for Soldotna. We don't really have much of any on-street parking, and this plan calls for that. The other thing that does, it allows people to park hopefully closer to businesses, and it also provides for less parking requirements, so that land can be used for building upward rather than putting pavement on the ground. And then finally, there's an 8-foot sidewalk on the other side of the street. So it's a pretty intensive use of our 60 feet of infrastructure. Next slide shows, excuse me, our next big idea, which is trails and boardwalks connecting to the river. Remember, our goal here was to feature the Kenai River as one of the key elements for downtown. And so we want to do that by providing paths, trails that overlook the river. And our goal is to make it easier for people to enjoy the river, to engage with the Kenai. Our trails and sidewalks will connect these new public plazas with businesses and housing. And our next couple slides are going to cover some additional examples of, there we go, thank you, of encouraging pedestrian activity. Oh, thank you. My drink has arrived. So Sterling Highway Pathway, while it wasn't one of our top big ideas, it's important in the sense that we want to be able to make the Sterling Highway more walkable. We'd like to, if many of you are from here, and so you've probably attempted to walk on the Sterling Highway, and if you have, you know that it's not pleasant. You know that it's loud, it's noisy, it feels dangerous. You might either get soaked by a puddle or you might get sprayed with dust. Our goal is to create a pathway on the south side of the river, the riverside, or, yeah, the south side of the highway, that would create a path that would be a little bit off than what it is today. In other words, it would be buffered from the roadway, so that it would be a little bit quieter, be a little bit safer, a little more enjoyable to walk. It would also provide connections then for all of those businesses that are along the highway. So in that respect, it gives people an opportunity to stay out of their car and walk from business to business. And that lower graphic actually that you see there is an example of what we currently have for our right of way. In some places it's 145 feet, in other places it's 120 feet. It goes back and forth. And what you see there is that with that much right of way, we have a lot of opportunities to things that are creative and provide some nice walkways, also potentially some additional parking and new ways to access businesses. Next slide, please. This big idea is called extended paths to the river, but I like to call it just connecting in the community. We have Soldotna, if you know it, is relatively densely developed. So once you get off the highway, we have a high density residential area that is within a stone's throw of our downtown of this project area. And our goal here is, you see these red lines, those are existing roads like Cobuck, Birch, and Binkley. Our goal is to make those roads easier to access for our public that already lives in town. We want to make them walkable. We want to make them a convenient, comfortable way for folks that live here to get downtown, do their shopping, get to the park, go have dinner on the river, walk the dog, whatever it is they want to do. We want to make it easier for them to get here. And next slide. And then the final big idea is the public market. The public market, as it's depicted here, is near Soldotna Creek Park on the old Davis Block property. Let's go to the next slide because it offers a more in-depth view of the concept for a public market. The market hall, as I mentioned, would be on the Davis Block property. It's a proposed development which could support the traditional food hall, restaurants, spaces for meetings, events, conferences, a number of things. In this depiction, it's shown as a multi-level facility. In that respect, depending on the size, it could include a number of things, such as Chamber of Commerce offices, visitor center, exhibits. A number of different things could be located here. And the market hall, as I mentioned, multi-level, which also gives us the opportunity to do upper and lower plazas on the outside. These outdoor spaces would basically allow for gatherings. It would allow for a scenic view of the river. And the end of this end of the market hall, as it's depicted, would have a central commons that would look out to those gathering places, those areas, and would have a view of the river. So as it's designed, we feel it would definitely benefit our local businesses and align with our goals to foster economic development within the community. We feel it can offer a low risk business opportunity for some of our existing businesses. In fact, we have a lot of vendors that come on Wednesdays to Wednesday in the park that purposely go there because of one is there's the market is there, the people are there, and then two, they may not be able to afford a brick and mortar storefront. Same concept here is they don't have to buy a building. They would potentially buy a space or rent a space within the market. It offers a step from what we currently have at the Wednesday market to the next level, where they can perhaps run their business 7 days a week or 5 days a week throughout the year, rather than on one Wednesday throughout the summer. Let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, for us to be successful, what do we need to do? We need to invest in this project. That means our time. It means we need to think about how we can plan our infrastructure. We need to think about future partnerships, funding opportunities, but it's gonna take Soldotna to put some skin in the game to move this forward. We also know that implementation has to be flexible rather than prescriptive. We have to be nimble, and we have to be able to react to opportunities when they come up. We have to be patient. Over the last 10 to 20 years, the city of Soldotna has changed quite a bit, and we're hoping in the next 10 or 20 years it will change again, and hopefully for the better, and hopefully according to this plan. And then the next item for success would be to choose investments in projects that catalyze other developments. So we want to see a domino effect. We want to make sure we're selective in our choices of where we are investing, so that this investment by the city for infrastructure, for example, might lead to a developer building that new development that might include a number of things, which would then further catalyze the next piece of property. We know that housing is vital, and we've had a few discussions here today about housing. This project has the ability to provide for affordable housing. It has the ability to provide for workforce housing. I've already mentioned regulatory changes, so I won't touch on that. But we also know that for us to be successful, we are going to probably have to do some additional studies. We probably are going to have to look at the market hall concept in a little more detail, so that we understand what uses we actually want to see in there, how that building could be managed, and who would own it. There's a number of questions that need to be answered yet on the market hall. Same thing with housing. It would be great if we could partner with the city of Kenai, with the Kenai Peninsula Borough, to take a regional look at housing and identify what our needs are, and identify some strategies to provide the necessary housing. Our development strategy, and what I'm sharing with you is just a part of our development strategy, and that is the initial actions that need to be taken for us to move forward. And so some of those time-sensitive initial actions are establishing staffing to manage implementation. And I'm happy to report that the city council recently appropriated money for the position of a project manager. And so we are now out to bid for someone to help us manage this project and move it forward. That person, once hired, will also help us set up the concept of an oversight committee, will assist us in the regulatory amendments, and also changes to our street standards and maintenance plans. Those are all items that we want to do in the short term, within the next 5 years or sooner. And then we will continue on with that development strategy. And that larger development strategy, that it does move forward in phases. It lays the foundation for mixed use. It identifies catalyst sites and identifies costs and funding sources. So basically, it lays the groundwork for future development to become more privately driven. Next slide, please. One of the things our consultant did was to create a build-out analysis, and the build-out analysis looked at the economic impact of constructing the infrastructure to support future development. It measured the potential economic return from development as a result of those improvements. It was an input-output model. It was used and focused exclusively on quantifying the impacts of construction, and it did not model long-term operations, jobs, or their impact. So it's considered to be a conservative estimate. And the findings here that are presented there really offer a compelling case for the city's continued support and leadership in bringing the plan's vision to life. The quantitative construction impacts, the qualitative benefits offer advantages both in the short and long term for Soldotna's economy and our residents. We know that investing in community redevelopment does entail some risks, and that it takes tremendous effort and requires strong leadership in our decision making. But the reward for that risk is that the city and the greater community stand to gain handsomely into the future. And the numbers there are really, I think, remarkable in that the build-out analysis showed over 2,000 jobs created, over 100 million in labor income created, $155 million contributed to the city and the borough's domestic product, gross domestic product, over 5 million in additional local and state tax revenues, and then finally, basically, for every $1 that the city spends, it will yield $5.30 in new development. And then the next slide, please. So I encourage you to check out our website. The address is there. Feel free to give me a call at the City of Soldotna, or stop in the office, or stop me here today if you have questions. And before I end here, I do want to thank, again, there have been so many people involved in this process. So again, I want to say thanks to KPED, thanks to EDA, thanks to our advisory committee, thanks to the staff at the City of Soldotna, and thanks to all the public that have participated in this process and provided the guidance that led us to the development and the adoption of this plan. So thank you.